Minnesota gun rights, you, the members of Minnesota gun rights, are under full-blown attack right now in the state of Minnesota. And, well, it's coming straight from who we've always known has been stabbing us in the back, who's been doing these deals on the backside. Rhinos. Paul Gazelka, Kurt Doubt, guys, they are launching a full-blown, full-frontal assault against the members and supporters of Minnesota gun rights. And you're going to want to hear every single word of what's happening right now against your gun rights here in the state of Minnesota. For those of you who don't know, I am Ben Dorr. I'm the executive director of Minnesota gun rights. And, we're going to talk about this once we get all these links put up here and we're rocking and rolling, guys. Let me know where you are watching from. Let me tell you what's happening right now in the state of Minnesota. The Republican Party of Minnesota, Paul Gazelka, they call him Mr. Rogers, and Brokeback Montana, Kurt Doubt, are launching a full frontal attack against the members and supporters of Minnesota gun rights. And now they're not even hiding it. They're not even hiding it. A brand new website was released just today for the sole purpose of deviating gun owners away from the work that we are doing here to fight for your right to keep and bear arms. This is a little bit of a story, so buckle in. Wyatt says, I'm confused. Well, all is about to be made abundantly clear. Okay? And we're going to kind of go through a little bit of history here. This is very important in this fight because Minnesota gun rights has been calling out the tremendous deception, not just on guns, not just on the Second Amendment, but on taxpayer funding for abortions, on the child care assistance fraud, the Somalian daycare fraud, on all of these things that have been happening, on the massive, explosive growth in government, okay, that's been happening in our state for many years. Minnesota gun rights has been exposing this for a long time, And we have made enemies on both sides of the aisle. The Democrats, they hate our guts because we are standing in the way of their gun control agenda, against their gun control agenda. But the Republicans hate us just as much because we are not willing to play their game. We are not willing to lie to you. We are not willing to stab you in the back. And because of that, they are coming after us with everything that they have got. With everything they've got. And this new website, folks, and there's been like 5 of these things have popped up just in the last couple of days. You've heard me talk about this so many times. They say, scammers. The doors are scammers. Minnesota gun rights, they're scammers and con artists. They're all of these things. But there's not an ounce of truth to it. Now, why would they say that? Why on earth would they say that? Well, let's just start from the beginning for a minute, okay? For those of you who do not know, I have 2 brothers, Chris Dorr with Ohio Gun Owners, also with Minnesota Gun Rights. He started Minnesota Gun Rights. And my brother Aaron with Iowa Gun Owners. Together, collectively, we fight with tremendous grassroots supporters in states all across America for your gun rights, for the Second Amendment, for our future, for our country. And because we draw a hard line in the sand, we say, this is the line. We will not cross it. We will not betray our beliefs. We will not betray our members. We will not betray ourselves. We will not betray our country. We will not betray everything that we are. We will not compromise. We will not compromise. Because that's the case, that makes us enemies with the radical left and the rhino right. The rhino right. And in Minnesota, you've never seen so many rhinos. Paul Gazelka and Kurt Doubt are the biggest liars that ever graced Minnesota politics on every issue. And we're going to walk through this right now. So I'll just kick this off. Why on earth would the GOP be angry at Minnesota gun rights? Why? Why on earth would they be angry? Aren't they pro-gun? Aren't they pro-life? Doesn't make any sense, does it? Well, Minnesota gun rights got started in 2013 after the Sandy Hook shooting happened. Sandy Hook Elementary School. You all remember that. That was the big push for gun control nationwide until the Parkland, Florida shooting several years later. But so we got messages, phone calls from folks that we knew up here in Minnesota, because I'm from Iowa originally. I've been in Northfield the last 4 or 5 years, Northfield, Minnesota here. But what happened? They said, we're being screwed. Our gun rights are being destroyed in Minnesota because of all the pressure from the left. It's being destroyed. Please help us. You've been so successful in Iowa. Help us in Minnesota save our right to bear arms. Well, and so that's why we started Minnesota Gun Rights. My brother Chris was running the organization at the time. I was brought on in 2016, in January of 2016. But in 2014, we had all kinds of candidates. I'm thinking of Roz Peterson, for one, Eric Lucero, Jason Rarick, and others in 2014 filled out the Minnesota Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire and promised in writing and face-to-face to be staunch supporters of our Second Amendment rights. They said, we will introduce and sponsor constitutional carry. We will introduce and sponsor stand your ground law. We will fight in the legislature with Minnesota gun rights members to advance your Second Amendment rights. Glenn Gruenhagen was another one, right? All these brand new Republicans, all the brand new Republicans are standing up there saying, we are going to fight on behalf of your gun rights. Sounds pretty good, right? Sounds pretty good. Well, until they actually got into office. And again, my brother Chris, who runs Ohio Gun Owners now, my brother Chris was running this operation at the time. It was he who met with Roz Peterson and with Glenn Gruenhagen and with Jason Rarick and the rest of these people. It was to them that they made, that they pledged, and in writing, on paper, they pledged to advance our Second Amendment rights. And what happened? What happened? These guys got into office and they went, pfft. They got into office, and Kurt Doubt and the rhino right that control our Republican legislature went to those lawmakers and they said, you will not sponsor these bills for them. You will not advance this legislation for them. The Republican Party is not going to be pushing for those bills. And so every single one of them, Roz Peterson, Jason Rarick, Eric Lucero, Glenn Gruenhagen, the rest of these people, every single one of them went psh, and decided, we're not going to touch it. We're not going to touch this legislation. We're not going to introduce it. We're not going to advance it. Screw the members of Minnesota gun rights. Ain't going to happen. That was 2014. That was 2014. Fast forward to 2016, right? And again, this is a collaborative effort. My brother Chris was helping, my brother Aaron with Iowa Gun Owners and so many other states. We're all working on this together, right? We bring our collective knowledge of what we've learned in legislatures all across America, and we bring it to bear in every state in which we work. And we say, this worked wonderfully in Wyoming. And, oh, we did this in Missouri, and we got Stand Your Ground law passed. And so we're going to use this here in this state or that state. And so it was a collective effort, what was happening during the 2014 and the 2016 elections. And so what happened? 2016 rolls around. And surprise, surprise, all of these lawmakers, all these candidates filled out their surveys. They filled out their survey and they said, well, even Paul Gazelka, I should have printed it off. Even Paul Gazelka filled out his candidate survey and said that he will push, fight for, and advance stand your ground law and constitutional carry. They promised in writing to advance your God-given right to defend yourselves and your loved ones. Minnesota Gun Rights spent tens of thousands of your donor dollars during the 2016 election, and we pummeled mercilessly anti-gun candidates and incumbent lawmakers who were running for office in 2016. At the end of the day, we did radio ads, we did sponsored social media ads, we did direct mail, we did door-to-door lit drops. All those videos are still in the video section of our Facebook page. You can watch the videos of us going door-to-door in places like Senate District 2 up by Park Rapids, exposing anti-gun Democrat Senator Rod Skoy for his betrayal of gun owners. You can see all of it with your own eyes. With your own eyes. And at the end of it all, what happened? Gun owners flipped the Minnesota Senate. They flipped the Minnesota Senate from Democrat control to Republican control. Now we have a Republican House and a Republican Senate rolling into the 2018 or the 2017 legislative session. And now President Trump is in the White House. It was our chance. It was our chance to get Stand Your Ground law moving and passed through the legislature in Minnesota. It was our chance to get constitutional carry passed through the legislature, to start beating on Mark Dayton to advance this legislation to make it become law. That was our chance. And what happened? What happened? Paul Gazelka said, no, no, no. And Kurt Doubt said, no. And the Republican-controlled legislature slaughtered Stand Your Ground law and constitutional carry. They killed that legislation. They betrayed the people. They betrayed the people. And they wouldn't advance it at all. At all. And so as an organization, we were faced with a choice. Like I said, again, we're taking everything we've learned from all of these states where we passed Stand Your Ground law in Iowa. We passed Stand Your Ground and constitutional carry in Missouri. We passed Stand Your Ground law in Wyoming. That wasn't you. That was somebody else. You guys are a scam. Really? Go ask Senator Rick Bertrand, former Senator Rick Bertrand in Iowa, the bill sponsor for Stand Your Ground. Ask him who got the job done. Call Senator Eric Burleson from Missouri, Jared Taylor, Representative Jared Taylor in Missouri. Ask them, the bill sponsor for Stand Your Ground and constitutional carry. Ask them who it was that fought on the outside with them on the inside to get those bills to become law. Ask them who it was. They will tell you. Call up Senator Anthony Bouchard from the great state of Wyoming, the bill sponsor for Stand Your Ground law that became law in Wyoming. Ask him who it was who stood side by side, arm in arm, and got the damn job done? Ask them. Ask them. They will tell you in every state. In Iowa, he will say it was the members of Iowa gun owners and the Dorr brothers who mobilized them. We don't try to take much credit. It is our members who get the job done. They will tell you in Missouri, it was the members of the Missouri Firearms Coalition headed up by Aaron Dorr and his brothers who got the job done in Missouri. He will say the same thing in Wyoming. It was the members of Wyoming gun owners. And my brother, who spent nearly every single day of the Wyoming legislative session out there fighting on behalf of Wyoming gun owners to get the bill passed. If that's a con artist, if that's a scam, then I'm the biggest scam artist that ever lived, if that's true. And so we were faced with a choice. After the 2016 elections here in Minnesota, we were faced with a choice. We can either bow down. We can either bow down to the wishes of our rhino right legislature, led by Paul Gazelka and Kurt Dowd. We can either lay down on our faces and we can say we give up. We can't speak badly about the GOP. Can't say anything bad about them. Or we can go to war on behalf of our members, on behalf of our freedom, on behalf of our country, on behalf of our America and our state and our future. And we went to war on behalf of our membership against politicians who had absolutely no intention whatsoever of ever advancing this legislation. That's what we did in 2017, in 2018. We went to war. And this is the fallout. This is what happens. This is what happens when you stand up against politicians who refuse to advance your freedom. And so in that way, in that day, we made enemies of the Minnesota Republican Party. Not all of them. There are some good people in there. There's some good people that we're working with. A couple, maybe one. I'll be honest, maybe one. But the Republican establishment turned on Minnesota gun rights and attacked our membership because we were not willing to play their game. And Paul Gazelka and Kurt Dowd have absolutely no intention whatsoever of advancing this legislation. They have no intention at all. No intention at all. So they hold this sham hearing up in Hibbing a while back, and here you have it. I mean, up in Hibbing, that's, for those of you who don't know, that's pretty far north, because they wanted to hear about what folks in outstate Minnesota think. So they held this hearing up there. And here you have the Senate Judiciary Chairman, Republican Warren Limmer, gaveling down gun owners in the crowd and saying, you're a mob, you're an unruly mob, cussing out the gun owners who they claim, oh, we have to hear their side of the story. We want to understand what folks in outstate Minnesota think. You call them a freaking mob. Really? Really? Is that what gun owners are? A mob? A mob. That's what they call them. That's what politicians in St. Paul call us. And so what else happened then? That's on the gun rights issue. That's on the gun rights issue. And I'll tell you something else. As a child, the first political thing that I ever did was when my dad took us in a rusted out piece of crap 1980s minivan, and we drove up to Planned Parenthood in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I was born and raised in a little town in northwest Iowa, but so the closest Planned Parenthood was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And he took us up there. And we stood out there in front of Planned Parenthood and we held signs of babies torn in pieces. And we stood there and we've picketed on behalf of the babies. And I was very young. And I didn't really understand why we were there at first. But the years went by and I spent a lot of time in front of abortion clinics with my dad, talking to girls going inside and fighting for the babies. And so in that way, really my first love in politics, the first thing I ever really wanted to do was fight for life. It was to fight for babies. And so I come here to Minnesota and I'm fighting on behalf of the Second Amendment rights of Minnesotans. And I just couldn't help but notice that, our Republican-controlled legislature in 2017 passed funding for abortion. Okay? They passed funding for abortion when we had a Republican House majority and a Senate Republican majority. They gave money to Planned Parenthood. And it equaled out to the death of 20,000 babies a year. 10,000 babies a year, 20,000 babies for that 2-year period. We had a Republican-controlled legislature, and they passed funding for abortion. Did you know that? Most people didn't. And they sit there and they say, well, we have to because it's a Supreme Court opinion that says that we have a right to do so, that a woman has a right to have an abortion, and you, taxpayers, have to pay for it. Regardless of your stance on the issue, should not be taxpayer funded. Your dollars are being taken and given through the medical assistance program. I'm just going to explain this very quickly. They take your tax dollars and they passed Senate File 2 on May 25, 2017, and they appropriated funds for the medical assistance program. Okay, and medical assistance, they did not prohibit where the money goes. They did not put a strict prohibitor in the bill that simply says, under this bill, we strictly prohibit the use of these funds to go to abortions. Okay, that's what they had to do, and they didn't do it. And 20,000 babies are dead because of them. It wasn't the Democrats who passed it. It was the Republicans. The Republicans who passed these bills. That was in 2017. Fast forward to 2019. Now it's time to pass all these funding bills again. And I sit here and watch in abject horror as our Republican Senate under Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka passes the same bill. They passed the same funding. I believe it was Senate File 12, on May 24, 2019. Our Senate Republican caucus passed funding for abortion again. And so between 2019 and the end of 2020 and the start of the 2021 session, 20,000 more babies will die with your money because our Republican legislature appropriated those funds. And so I said, enough. Nobody is fighting for these babies. Minnesota Citizens Concern for Life is covering the entire thing up. Scott Fishbach, who runs MCCL, he's endorsing his wife, Michelle Fishbach, who's running for Congress. His wife voted to give taxpayer dollars to kill babies. And her husband runs the pro-life organization, Minnesota Citizens Concerned for Life, and they fund, and so her husband gives her the endorsement, the pro-life endorsement. Oh yeah, and then the National Right to Life Committee also gave her the endorsement. You know who's like one of the biggest players in the entire National Right to Life Committee? Michelle Fischbach's mom. Michelle Fischbach's mom. So her mom runs the National Right to Life. Her husband runs Minnesota Citizens Concerned for Life. She votes to fund abortion, and both of those organizations give her the endorsement. Are you seeing what's happening here? Are you seeing what's happening here? So I said, enough. Enough. And so we started Minnesota Right to Life. I am the executive director of Minnesota Right to Life. And collectively, when I go to St. Paul, when I go to the Capitol, when I talk with these politicians, when I get in their faces, when I fight them, I'm doing it on behalf of Minnesota gun rights and on behalf of Minnesota Right to Life. Because I will not sit here and watch this happen any longer. Not when we can win for the babies. Not when we can stop this. And so we have been exposing what these Republican politicians are doing in this state. And they release this website about what big scammers we are, what con artists we are. No, the only con in this state are you bastards, you liars, you thieves, you manipulators, you destroyers of all that's good. Because don't forget, guys, don't forget, it was our Republican legislature that stopped all the pro-gun bills. It's Republicans who are teaming up with Democrats to pass gun control, okay? Paul Anderson, Scott Jensen. It's Paul Gazelka who's been protecting these people. It's Republicans who did this. It's Republicans who blew up the size of our government by $12 billion in new taxes that you have to pay. Our Republicans voted for this stuff. It's the Republicans who are appropriating the funds for Planned Parenthood in Minnesota. It's Republicans. It's Republicans who are giving all this welfare money through the CCAP program. They're giving all this welfare program money to all these Middle Easterners, to all these people who are flooding into our state by the tens of thousands and turning our entire culture, our entire politics, our entire way of life on its head. The Republicans are funding this. They're funding it. They're giving your money to this. It may be Democrats who are vocally speaking up in favor of it. It may be Democrats who are standing there saying, this is a great thing. But it's the Republicans who are funding this. And you tell me what's worse. You tell me what's worse. A Democrat who stands up there and says, I want to kill babies. Or the Republican who takes the money out of your wallet and goes and buys them the freaking forceps to tear their arms and legs off. You tell me what's worse. The person who vocally supports this type of atrocity, or the one who funds it? The one who funds it. And so millions and millions of Minnesota tax dollars have been given to the Child Care Assistance Program fraud. It's a totally fraudulent program. And these people are taking your money. They're putting it in suitcases by the millions, and they're shipping our tax dollars to Yemen and Somalia. Our tax dollars are literally funding terrorism It's not been stopped. It's not been stopped. And when this whole story blew up in 2018, when everybody heard about it, when everybody knew that that's what happened with the money, do you know what the Republican-controlled Senate did in 2019? They refunded the program. They refunded the program. Do you hear that? They refunded the program. If you're still sitting here going, Republicans are great, get off this page. Get off this page. If you want to save your country, wake up, open your eyes if you don't see this, if you haven't seen this. And so we launched Minnesota Right to Life. And I'll tell you, it's my baby. It's my baby. Because I love babies and I hate politicians. The ones who stab us in the back, the ones who betray us, the ones who lie to us, the ones who steal from us. I'm going to fight with Minnesota Right to Life. And we're going to mobilize grassroots life supporters. And we are going to do battle on behalf of the babies in this state. And that is the entire point of this blog, of this new website that's popped up. And how do we know? How do we know that this is from the Republicans? Well, look at the bottom of the page. It's got 3 logos on it. The one is the Minnesota House GOP logo. The other one is the Minnesota Senate Republican logo. And the third one is the Minnesota GOP logo. Because these people are desperate to stop us, desperate to shut us down, desperate to stop us from exposing the fact that they vote to fund abortion, and nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. Does that piss you off? Does that piss you off? Well, you want to see who made the website? There he is. His name is Jim Knutson. Jim Knutson. This guy here is the media relations specialist for the Minnesota Republican Caucus. Jim Knutson. This is the guy who created this. He's the guy who makes all their websites. And so Jim Knutson was given the order by the Republicans to create this website calling us liars and scammers and frauds. Liars and scammers and frauds. But you look at it, and I just find it rather curious. I find it rather curious. It says right here, learn the truth. Myth. Ben Dorr, Minnesota gun rights have influence at the Capitol in St. Paul. Look at the fact. Ben Dorr is not a registered lobbyist and spends little to no time meeting with pro-gun legislators in St. Paul. Ben Dorr is not a registered lobbyist? I mean, are you just like doing flat out lies now, Republicans? Or what? If you want to look me up, just look it up on the campaign finance board. My registration number is 4235. Ben Dorr is not a registered lobbyist. Look up registration number 4235. Okay. What a lie. What a bullshit lie. Oh, here's another one. It's a myth. Minnesota gun rights holds legislators accountable by spending money during elections. Fact. Minnesota gun rights is not registered with the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board, and we can find no evidence that they've spent any money to help or defeat legislators in our state. Really? Hold on. Where's this link? Here's the link. I'll just throw it in here. You can see it here. Registered lobbyists. Numbers right on there. Not registered with the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board? You lying bastards. Do you not even care to try to spin half-truths? The website's full of this crap. The website's full of this crap. Liars. Liars. And all this is to do everything they can possibly do to shut us down. Eric says that he doesn't care about a lot of these issues. That's okay. That's okay. But Eric, do you care about truth? Because that's what we're talking about here. Again, regardless of the issue, you don't have to care about guns. You don't have to care about babies. You don't have to care about your tax dollars. None of that stuff is material here. It's just truth versus lies. It's fact versus fiction. And these people are lying and attacking the members of Minnesota gun rights. And so here we are. We've rolled into 2020. 2019, what happened? A big old flop. Nothing. They won't touch this legislation. They won't touch stand your ground. They won't touch constitutional carry. Instead, they grow the size of our Minnesota government. They take more taxes from you. They kill the babies. They grab our guns. And the politicians, the lobbyists, and the media in St. Paul are there for the sole purpose of protecting and spinning the narrative that provides them with the political cover necessary to do what they've done for all these years. All these years. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not with Minnesota gun rights here. Not with Minnesota right to life. We're going to fight against this establishment. And shame on the Republicans for attacking people who are doing great work, who are exposing corruption. They should be standing with us, not fighting against us. But it's so clear, it is so clear that all they want to do is protect and advance themselves. They have no intention of changing. They have no intention of doing anything different. They will always try to cram this crap down your throats. And they lie to the voters at election time. And they lie to you when you communicate with them. And when our members send them pre-written emails saying, hey, I want you to protect our gun rights, what do? They send back these links. And they say, Minnesota gun rights is a scam. Minnesota gun rights is a scam. Nah, the only scam in this state is you, politicians. If your lawmaker sends back this link, I can promise you he's a piece of crap rhino who voted to fund abortion, who voted to fund the CCAP fraud, who stood by and watched stand your ground and constitutional carry die. Guaranteed. Because there's other lawmakers up there, people like Jeremy Munson, who've never done those things. He never funded CCAP fraud. He never funded abortion. Never did. And that's why folks like him don't send out bullcrap links like this, because he doesn't have a whole bunch of baggage and garbage to try to hide from the public. So if your politician is sending you links to this crap, I can promise you they voted to fund abortion. I can promise you that they killed all the pro-gun bills. They probably sponsored or co-sponsored some form of gun control. I can promise you. You get it now? Everybody understand? And they attack my brothers. And in this same thing, they attack a group called Magasota. And we're not associated with them. We know everybody in Minnesota politics. But the gals, beautiful ladies, wonderful, wonderful women, big, tremendous supporters of our president have started the largest grassroots pro-Trump movement in Minnesota, and they call it MAGA-soda. It's kind of a cool name. I like it. I like it. But the Republicans now are attacking the crap out of a pro-Trump group. And these people, they're going all over the state of Minnesota. They're holding meetings. They're educating voters. They're getting activists together to go door to door to talk to folks about President Trump. They have a tremendous ground game going here in the state of Minnesota. They're beautiful ladies, wonderful, wonderful people, wonderful people. Just grassroots folks, just conservative Minnesotans, just Americans, people who freaking bleed for their country. That's all they are. And the rhinos come out and attack them for fighting for President Trump. It's right here on this website too. You're attacking the Trump supporters now? The Republican Party in Minnesota as a whole is corrupt to the very marrow of its bones. They are corrupt. Again, there are some good people, folks like Jeremy Munson, who have not bent down and sacrificed their conscience, their souls on the altar of politics. There are folks like Jeremy Munson who have not done that. But the GOP in Minnesota as a whole, under Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka, under Kurt Dowd, these guys who have passed all of this and destroyed our freedoms in so many ways, they are corrupt to the very marrow of their bones. And there is no truth in them. There is no truth in them. They are politicians, first and foremost, and their first love is themselves. Their first agenda is themselves. The thing they love most is themselves. The thing they fight for is themselves. They fight to protect and enrich themselves, not you. Not you. And we're exposing them. Because the fact of the matter is, folks, the only reason people like Ilhan Omar are even in office in Minnesota is because of a massive, cataclysmic, tremendous failure of our Republican Party. They funded the welfare that brought all of these Somalians here and folks from all over the world. The Republicans funded the welfare that brought these people here that are turning our state blue. The only reason somebody as radical and far left as Ilhan Omar could ever get elected into office is because Republicans funded the lifestyle that brought these people here in the first place. Do you understand that? If our Republican legislature had stood up and said, no, we are not going to pass this funding. We are not going to pass funding for abortion. We are not going to fund this welfare. We are not going to fund socialism. We are not going to crush pro-gun bills. If they had done that, our state would not be in the condition it's in. But they have utterly and completely refused to fight for the people of Minnesota for decades. And that is why this state is going blue. Sorry, Nate. Nate says we're on your side. Stop yelling at me. I apologize. Everybody needs to know this. This is the truth. This is the truth. This is the truth about the doors. This is the truth about Minnesota gun rights and Minnesota right to life. This is the truth about Iowa gun owners. My brother Chris with Ohio gun owners. My brother Aaron. We love our country. We love our freedom. We love it. Do I get paid to do what I do for Minnesota gun rights? Yes. I don't want to raise my kids in the car. I don't want to park at the Quick Trip and sleep at night with my kids so that I can be at the Capitol. Of course I get paid. Of course I get paid. But we've also sacrificed and got paid very, very, very little for a very long time. Of course I get paid. And they sit here and go, oh, the reason you'll know that they're a scam, is because they ask you for money. Yes, of course we ask for money. Of course we ask for money. How in the hell are we supposed to stop gun control? How are we supposed to stop gun control from passing in Minnesota if all we have is 25 cents in the bank account? How are we supposed to mobilize gun owners? How are we supposed to do direct mail and radio ads and door-to-door lit drops? How are we supposed to maintain our website and create the videos that we do? How are we supposed to do all of this if we don't have a single copper penny in the account? Of course we ask for money because we need it to combat everybody else who has money, who's trying to destroy our freedoms. I mean, have you ever met a politician who didn't have his hand out for a donation? I mean, every single one of those people, Paul Kozelka and Kurt Dow, every single one of them is running around this state right now holding fundraisers, trying to raise money for their party, for their re-elections. They're all got their hands out for cash. But the difference is the money you give to Minnesota gun rights at donate2mgr.com, donate2mgr.com, the money that you donate here gets used to expose those SOBs. So they are desperate above all else. The Republican Party of Minnesota is desperate above all else to defund us. They want us defunded more than anything else. If they can strip away every dime that we bring in, we cannot do our jobs. We cannot mobilize gun owners. We cannot do it. We can't do it. If we can't raise the money, of course we ask for money. And I'll ask it for you right now. Right now. Shove it down these people's throats. Go to joinmgr.com, become a member of Minnesota Gun Rights if you aren't already. If you are, go to donate2mgr.com. It's the number 2, not T-O. Go to donate2mgr.com and make a contribution. Let me tell you something. I hear this all the time from gun owners, from folks. They just say, look, you only catch flack when you're above the target. It is only because we are doing such good work. It's only because we are so successful in exposing politicians. And not just the Republicans. Of course we attack the Democrats. Rod Skoy and Lyle Coonan are 2 Democrats who are no longer in office because our members and supporters kicked them out. The only reason we have a Republican Senate majority in Minnesota right now in the first place is because we exposed the radical Democrats who were pushing the gun control when the Democrats had the majority, and they got kicked out of office by our members. Can't do it for free. Can't do it for free. Help us. Help us. Help us fight. Help us fight. Because I'll tell you this, it's only because of the work that we're doing here that these politicians are so desperate to stop us. It's only because we're exposing these people, because we're not afraid to speak the truth. Because that's what we do here. We speak the truth. That's the difference between us and, quite frankly, just about every other organization out there. Certainly when it comes to life issues and to gun issues, we're an open book. We're an open book. We've never compromised. We've never endorsed an anti-gun lawmaker. We have only ever managed the money that was entrusted to us in the absolute best way to maximize everything that we do. We have no skeletons in the closet. We could not be more proud of the work that we do. We could not be more proud. I hold my head high knowing that I helped pass the Stand Your Ground law in Iowa. I hold my head high because I helped pass pro-gun bills in Missouri and in Wyoming. And I'm helping my brother Chris in Ohio move pro-gun legislation and stop gun control. We're fighting everywhere, and I couldn't be more proud of our members, of our supporters, of the work we do, of the success we've had. I couldn't be more proud. So many politicians in states all across America are no longer in office because the memberships of the organizations that we get to work with and for kicked them out of office. America is a better place. It's a better place. It's a better place because of the work that we do. And it's not because of me, because I am nothing on my own. I am nothing on my own. It is only the members of these organizations that I get to work with. It is only because of them that we win. And these bastards will lie about us all day. They'll lie about us all day. Anything to shut us down. Anything to shut us up. Anything. They will say anything. They will spread any lie. There's never facts. There's never proof. There's never anything because there is none. There is none. There is nothing. There is nothing. There's no proof of anything they tried to accuse us of because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. They put news stories from leftist media outlets and fake news reporters as proof? Proof? They say Minnesota Gun Rights isn't a nonprofit. No, is it not? Please go to minnesotagunrights.org, click on the About Us section, and read the IRS paperwork for yourself that says that we are a nonprofit in good standing with both the state of Minnesota and with the IRS. Our paperwork is pristine. It is perfect. Yet they lie. Unashamedly. And look at this ghoul. Look at this little goober. Jim Knutson. Getting paid. See, this guy is on taxpayer dole, right? This guy works for the Senate Republicans. He works for the House Republicans. So this guy gets paid with your tax dollars because he's basically a government employee, because all of these politicians get paid with your money. They're all collecting taxpayer-funded salaries. And so Jim Knutson here gets paid with your money to go and create this website attacking Minnesota gun rights, attacking the doors. Jim Knutson, taxpayer paid to attack taxpayers. How's that for government? How's that for government? You lying bastards. Liars. There's nothing I hate worse. Liars, bullies, deceivers, and scrawny little losers like this guy. They're the worst. Look at him. Gross. Gross. Get a real job. Get a real job. Fight for something that's worth believing in. Russell says, after this live, I'm going to infiltrate the Facebook pages bashing MGR and expose the liars spreading the disinformation propaganda, and it should be fun. Do it. Do it. Go to war against them because they're going to war against you. They are going to war against your freedom, against your gun rights, against the lives of these babies. They're fleecing you of your tax dollars to fund every leftist socialist agenda in the state, and the Republicans are doing it. The Republicans are passing these votes. And they claim that it's all the Republicans' fault. That it's all the Democrats' fault, rather. No, the Democrats vocally speak up in favor of this stuff because that's how they win elections, right? They get voted into office by radical lefties. They vocally support this legislation. They support these types of policies. It's the Republicans who claim to be everything different. It's the Republicans who say we are pro-gun, pro-life, pro-God, pro-family, pro-limited government. We believe in giving you your tax dollars back. Liars. Liars. In this state, that is a bold-faced lie. Don't believe me? Well, do you not pay a lot in taxes? I do. Are the babies still being killed? Yes. Do we have stand your ground law or constitutional carry? No. I mean, did you want your tax dollars funding all of these people from the Middle East coming to our state? Did you want that to happen? Is that what you wanted? Is that what you voted for? Is that what you voted for? I'll bet 999 out of 1,000 people who watched this video didn't want that to happen. Did you know it's your Republican lawmaker almost certainly voted for that stuff? And they call us the scam. No, what's happening here is an absolute desperation attempt, a desperation attempt at our Minnesota GOP to cover up the fact that everything we're saying is true. Because, boy, it's not good. It's not good politics. It's not good politics when the gun owners know the truth and the pro-lifers know the truth. That doesn't bode well for the Minnesota GOP. That doesn't bode well. And you know what else? Yeah, we exposed the shit out of them. We exposed the crap out of them. Yes, in 2018, we exposed the fact that Kurt Dowd was an anti-gun rhino. We did everything we could do to make sure everybody knew that Kurt Dowd was slaughtering all the pro-gun bills. We made sure everybody knew that it was all those Republicans on the outer ring of the cities, right? Cindy Pugh, Sarah Anderson, Dario Anselmo. Like the list goes on and on. I'm starting to forget their names. It's been so long. Those Republicans sponsored gun control. All of them did. They all sponsored or co-sponsored gun control bills. And we exposed them. We exposed them. Because we are not going to sit here and go, well, a Republican who sponsors gun control isn't as bad as the Democrats who sponsor gun control. No, you all suck. You politicians all suck. You're terrible. You're the worst thing that ever happened to this state. Honestly, I mean, if this was another time in history, they'd be trying to roll the Dorr brothers' bodies into ditches. That's how you deal with this type of political opposition once upon a time. You silence voices like ours, voices like yours. That's what they do. That's what they do. Right now, in this day and age, thank God, the most these people can do The most these people can do is put out websites like this full of lies. In another day and age, they'd roll us in a ditch if they can get away with it. Share this video. Fight for yourselves. This is not about Ben Dorr. This is not about Minnesota gun rights or Minnesota right to life. This is about you. This is about the future of our country. It's about the future of our state. Fight for yourselves in the social media forums, in the chat groups, on these websites. Fight for yourselves, because this is an attack against you. They zero in on me because it's easier for somebody to go, well, is this guy or is this guy not decent? But it's not me they're trying to stop. It's not me that they're trying to control. It's not me whose freedom they're trying to snuff out. It's yours. It's yours. And I'm just a representative of you, of your voices in the Capitol. That's all. That's all. Silence the loud voice. Shut them up. No dissension in the ranks. Stop the truth. Shut them down. Discredit them. Defund them. That's what they tried to do. That's what they're so desperate. So desperate. Fight for yourselves. Fight for your freedom. Fight for your future. Fight for America. Fight for Minnesota so that she doesn't turn into a socialist blue nightmare. A total shithole. That's what they want this place to be. And if we allow our Republican Party to steamroll us, to lie to us, to pass this funding, to kill the babies, to give all of our money to welfare programs, to crush our gun rights, to grow our government, Minnesota will be destroyed. All these retirement age folks are leaving this state. Nobody can retire here. All the original Minnesotans are leaving because nobody can afford to live here anymore. These are Republican past policies that are crushing our state. At the very best, Republican lawmakers are standing by and watching it happen. At the very best. Is that what you voted for? Is it? Or did you vote for a fighter? Did you want somebody to go to the Capitol and fight on your behalf, to be your voice in the legislature against all of this? If that's what you voted for, you're likely getting screwed by whoever your lawmaker is, Republican or Democrat. Like I said, there's a couple of good politicians up there. There's a couple of good lawmakers. A couple. But almost every one of them is either totally complicit in voting for all of this crap, or they stood by and let it happen and didn't stop it when they had the chance. And what do? They spend your tax dollars creating a website to try to discredit us. No, the truth will set us free. And I cannot wait to totally undergo the beautiful work I get to do for Minnesota right to life, because I believe in this and I will fight for it. And we'll never be shut down. We'll never be run out. You cannot stop us. You can't stop us. Guys, go to joinmgr.com or donate to mgr.com. Become a member of Minnesota Gun Rights, or donate if you haven't already. Help us combat this. And when you're done, go over to the Minnesota Right to Life Facebook page and like the Facebook page. I do videos over there. We're putting out tons of information over there. We're going to have the website and donate links and all stuff will be set up very, very soon. And you can become members over there. Help us combat this system. because they are screwing the voters. And we are not going to sit by and let it happen. Guys, join us. Stand with us. Spread the truth. Fight for your freedom, for the future of your country, of your state. Fight, fight, fight for your rights. And I'll have more updates soon. I know there's a lot of questions in the comments section, a lot of things going on, guys. I'll do another video very shortly, probably yet today, and we'll talk about the segment of sanctuary counties, all these different things that are happening. I don't want to lump this all in at the exact same time. We've already gone over an hour, so do stay tuned. I'll be back with more updates very, very soon. Share this around. Share this around. We'll be talking about all of this stuff very soon. And just fight for yourselves against these politicians. Stand boldly. Stand boldly, because we are standing with and for you, and we will never, ever betray you. We will never betray you. We love you. Thank you. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.